back to another week of Behind the Lens. I'm Debbie Elias, film critic, creator, and host of Behind the Lens, where we go behind the lens and below the line with the movers and shakers, those film and TV makers, the producers, directors, writers, actors, cinematographers, costume designers, production designers, VFX gurus, composers, film editors, sound mixers, authors, you name it, we talk to them. I can't believe it's already December. Where has the year gone? And as a reminder, just 2 more weeks of Behind the Lens before we close out year 11. But never fear, I'll be back in January to kick off year 12. I'm still amazed by that. And that's only because of all of you and all of the wonderful talent that has been on the show. The thousands, I kid you not, thousands of filmmakers that have been on the show since it first started. It just blows my mind. But let's get into it for our final month of 2025. Now, you may recall I had intended to do a show talking about Christmas films today, but due to the Thanksgiving week holiday conflicts, the interviews that were scheduled last week for Drink and Be Merry and the documentary Merchants of Joy didn't proceed because of calendar conflicts of the talent and or publicist. But I'm doing those interviews tomorrow and Wednesday of this week. So next Monday, we'll be talking back-to-back Christmas. Now, while today's films and filmmakers that we're going to take a look at may not be about holiday movies, they do fit with the love and laughter of the holidays. Michelle Danner joins me talking about her new film, the beautiful and romantic Under the Stars, while writer and director Michael J. WEITHORN is on hand discussing his fantastic film, The Best You Can. But first, let's turn our attention to Puglia, Italy, and Under the Stars with Michelle Danner. Directed by Michelle Danner with script by Victoria Vinuesa, Under the Stars stars Toni Collette, Andy Garcia, Alex Pettyfer, Eva De Dominici, Rob Estes, and Vincent Riotta. Under the Stars follows a struggling romance novelist named Ian, played by Alex Pettyfer, in what I consider to be the best performance of his career. I kid you not, people. Ian is trapped in a lifeless relationship and plagued by writer's block. Hoping to reignite his passion, he travels to Italy for inspiration, only to unexpectedly fall for Ariana, a spirited local who challenges everything he thought he knew about love and himself. And as if that's not enough, how about tossing in Ian's Aunt Audrey, who shows up, and Ariana's father, Giacomo? Uh-oh, a father and a doting aunt? Who knows how this is going to turn out? I guess you're going to have to watch the movie and find out. In this exclusive interview, Michelle and I discuss Under the Stars, highlighting its enchanting setting in Puglia, Italy, and the personal connection she felt there, which was inspired by her late Italian mother. Emphasizing the importance of the cinematography in Under the Stars and the exquisite location. So exquisite, it doesn't matter what direction you point the camera. It's beautiful. Michelle talks about her collaboration with her cinematographer, Pierluigi Gigi Malavasi, to capture the romantic, beautiful setting. Adding to the immersive nature of the film is the work of Frankie Diago and costume designer Chiara Ferrantini, which enhances the visual appeal. Of course, the score is important in a film with romance and Italy. And for that, Michelle turned to Andrea Guerra, who delivers a beautiful score, which happened to be performed by a live orchestra for the film. It's a rarity these days. An interesting element of this conversation, however, is Michelle's reflections on the relaxed Italian filmmaking schedule and how that might have helped lead to the joyful, uplifting nature of the film. Her thoughts are really interesting about the Italian workday of 10 hours on filming versus the United States, which is 12 and however, more than that. So, take a listen as Michelle Danner talks about the beautiful and romantic Under the Stars. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very happy to be speaking with you today. I have long admired your films. The Runner, I thought, was spectacular, and I actually interviewed Cameron and Edward on that one.
That's great, thank you.
And to see that kind of film, see The Italians, Miranda's Victim, now see Under the Stars, this is a perfect rom-com. It is just so enchanting. It's so charming. I am ready to get a plane ticket and go to Puglia in Italy. The location is stunning, and you transport us physically and emotionally with this film.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
How did this script come to you? How did Victoria's work make its way into your artful hands?
The producer, Pia Papatian, had called me up, and she said, how would you like to go shoot the movie in Puglia? So you have to know that my mother is Italian. I mean, was Italian because she's passed away. But my whole childhood, I always heard ad nauseum, Puglia, Puglia, Puglia. And I was like, and I had never been. So they had me at Puglia. And then I read the script, and, I thought I love stories about falling in love.
Yeah.
One of the storylines that was not in there initially was basically Giacomo and Audrey falling in love and actually, coming to fruition. But I thought to myself, I never watch any reality shows, but I had watched The Golden Bachelor. And I thought to myself, well, wouldn't it be nice if we only not just had a young couple falling in love, but also a more mature couple falling in love? And thus, that storyline. And then, fun story, I was very inspired by Before Sunrise, about, two people really falling in love, Julie Delphi and Ethan Hawke. And I'm at a school trip for my son, and it's a campfire. It's late at night, pitch dark, just for the flames of the fire. And all of a sudden, I hear a lady with a French accent speaking behind me. So I turn around, and it was Julie Delphi. And I said, oh, you have no idea that your movie was an inspiration for me for Under the Stars, this movie I went to shoot in Italy. And we had a very nice conversation. And, it's a small world, 2 degrees of separation.
Wow. Wow. Now, once you got this script in your hands, the cinematography is so important here, as is your casting. The casting is impeccable. I think this is one of the best performances I have ever seen from Alex Pettyfer, in all honesty. Yes. I think this is it is the most mature. It has wonderful range. We see emotion from him on his face. He's not perpetually brooding as he normally is in so many of his films. I love what you brought out of him with this film. And Eva is just fantastic as Ariana. And of course, it's always great to see Vincent Riotta. But the secondary story that you added with Audrey and Giacomo, with Toni Collette and Andy Garcia, oh my God, I fell in love with them falling in love.
Yes, it was quite beautiful. Toni was gracious enough to fly in from Australia, and she immediately had a connection with Andy, who I had worked with before on Miranda's Victim. Mm-hmm. And wonderful cast. Everybody was happy to be there, happy to tell the story. Eva De Dominici was delightful to work with. Alex Pettyfer was a lot of fun. He's very mischievous in real life. He's got a great sense of humor. And, it was just a wonderful experience to be there in Italy. I was there for almost 2 months. I, on the weekends, went from historical city to historical city, from Lecce. all other cities there. Went to the supermarket, bought food, cooked it. It was really lovely to be working on a story about love.
Oh my gosh! In 2 months, you got to be there.
Yes, it was definitely a treat. Now, my mom had passed away, and I think that some of the pull, some of the, the me wanting to go do it was somehow I thought maybe if I'd be in Italy, she was born in Milano, I would, feel closer to her. And the truth of the matter is, I conjured her up quite a lot being in Italy.
Oh my God, that is so wonderful. This film is always going to hold a special place in your heart because of that, I am sure.
Absolutely. I always remember being there and shooting it.
Now, one of the key factors here is you had to find a location. Your location, that is beautiful. How challenging was it for you to find the perfect place?
Well, there was a team there, including my director of photography, Pierlucio Malavasi, who I worked with before on The Runner and on Miranda's Victim.
Yep.
He was there already with my first AD, Marco, who was incredible, and they both went with Giangi, the executive producer, to look at macerias. I wasn't even so aware before about these macerias, which are these farms in Italy, in the south of Italy. And they found the perfect one. I mean, the people were very nice. The food was great. There were many locations, and we shot, in a lot of the different places in La Maceria, including, and I probably shouldn't say this because I'll be spoiler alert, but, the end of the wedding. I don't know whose wedding it is. That's the surprise. It was just a really beautiful location, beautiful farm to be in.
Everywhere you point the camera, you get another beautiful portrait. And then you open this film, we get these gorgeous, gorgeous drone shots or aerial shots. That's the Adriatic Sea that it's sitting on, correct?
Yes.
That is bluer than blue. It is absolutely gorgeous. And you take us on this windy road to get to La Masseria. And it kind of is metaphoric for the windy road that Ian is going on in his life. So I just love that touch. But once you get there, it's everywhere we're looking, even in a chicken coop. The images are stunning. And because you're using so many different areas to really immerse us in this, I'm curious how you and Pierluigi worked with your blocking and your framing for what you were looking for with your visual grammar.
Well, it's funny you should say, because the truth of the matter is, wherever we pointed the camera, it was beautiful. It was like, we pointed that way, you pointed that way, you pointed that way. We were all going to capture something beautiful. And I was part of the long winding roads. We did it with drones, and, with camera. It was, we talked at length, with my, cinematographer in terms of what, would the shots be. And we created a shot list, and it was just the whole entire thing. I can't even tell you how joyous it was, and I'm very happy that it, people are responding to it. And I just feel these days, I don't know if it's a sign of me getting older, but I'm very much wanting to see content that feels light and joyful and uplifting.
No, I agree with you, Michelle. I agree with you. Everybody has shied away from these lighter films. And that's something that you do, that you and Pierluigi do, is you keep your visual tonal bandwidth light and bright. So you really embrace that beautiful sunlight that you get in southern Italy, and the way the sandstone color goes into the dirt and then it's offset by the greens of the fruit trees and the olive trees. Just stunning. But it makes you happy looking at it. And then you have a few shots, some night shots, that are a beautiful counter and just wrap you in a blanket of love. You've got that one shot in there at the hour 3-minute mark where Audrey and Giacomo are sitting and having dinner in the kitchen. Exterior shot. It's a little wider than just a basic 2-shot. We see them through the window toasting, and that little white kitty walks by underneath the window. That is just like a money shot. It is perfection. You give us so many moments like that. The thunderstorm and Ariana and Ian being caught in the rain, or when we are searching through the ancient parts of the area to find why there is no water, or how come suddenly there's no water. And interestingly, you really shy away from extreme close-ups. You really keep us in that, essentially the 2-person, the 2-shot mode for, I'd say, 90% of the film, so that we really feel the connective tissue between the characters. I think that's just brilliant.
I mean, you're so perceptive. Are you writing a review? I hope you are, because all the language that you used to describe what was going on, which is right on, is really, language that's very, very exactly what is happening. This idea of the 2 shots, this was a choice. You know? It was a choice. Everything you talked about was a choice. And so I like extreme close-ups. It's just that this story did not lend itself to that.
That's right.
But this was, I really wanted people to be with these couples as they fall in love, and to also just say that, you can fall in love at any stage in your life if you are open and leave yourself, vulnerable for it to happen.
And I'm with you. I love ECUs. But there is a time and place for them, and this would not have been the time for them. So I love the choice that you made there. I love it. You've got some beautiful montages happening in here, and I do love me a good montage that is as sweet as the one that we see in the 3rd act of the film between Ian and Ariana. And even a little bit of Audrey and Giacomo gets slipped in there, too. It's so beautifully cut. Federico Conforti did your editing. He did a beautiful job. But then you also, the score really complements and fills us with emotion in that particular montage and in other areas as well. Your music is linked so beautifully as an undercurrent to this film. So I'm curious what you were looking for musically from Andrea Guerra.
Well, I was lucky enough to meet Andrea Guerra, who's such a genius in composing. And he did an incredible job, I think, composing this movie. We talked a lot, and we had a lot of conversations about what the music should, the feel of it, the themes for the characters, the love, the different storylines. And, he just, I think for me, one of my favorite parts of the movie is the score. I think it's just really beautiful.
It really is. And it's not just the score, but the instrumentation of the score. The instrumentation is so key here in terms of the emotion that different instruments evoke. So, yeah, I fell in love with the score. There is no question. Pardon?
He scored it in Rome with an orchestra, and it was really just beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
And you can hear an accordion, I think it is, within some of this. So it really captures that Italian ethnic flavor of music. Just really well composed for this story. Very impressive. How challenging was the edit on this one, working with Federico on the editing? Because as you said, everywhere you point the camera, it's beautiful. So how do you start lopping off some of these beautiful images that have been captured?
Well, I first started working with my editor that edited Miranda's Victim and The Runner and The Italians, which is Teferi Seifu. So I started to work with him, and we worked on it a couple of months together and came up with a first great cut. And then Federico stepped in, and he, the producer wanted to bring in somebody else, and he looked at all the takes, and he, came up with some things. And I enjoyed very much working with him. I thought he was a wonderful editor, and he contributed quite a lot to what was that first cut.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it was really between Andrea Guerra, between Federico, between Pierluigi. There were some wonderful designers on the movie as well. I felt in very good hands.
Well, it certainly shows. The proof is in the pudding that you were in very good hands here. And your production design within La Masseria is beautiful. Did you have to do a lot of adjustment with the interiors, with the kitchen, with one or two of the rooms? Because the bulk of the film stays outside.
Yes, so Frankie Diago was our production designer. Wonderful production designer. She did magic with what was there. She created the world of everything, of every location we were in.
Wow.
And, our costume designer, Chiara, I'm blanking on her last name. She's Italian.
Ferrantini.
Yes, fantastic costume designer. She also did an incredible job.
I love Andy Garcia's costuming. And the counter to everything, because we have this great rustic, earthy costuming for Andy's character, Giacomo, and of course for Pietro. But then you counter that with what is done for Audrey, which is stunning. Really high, couture-looking outfits. And also the very trendy, skinny suits for Andrew, for Rob Estes' character. So you've got a diverse costuming here, representing these different people and who they are and where they come from. And it fits. It works so well, and we never get out of it. Doesn't take us out of the moments.
Yes. Well, I had a great costume designer and wonderful actors. And since you mentioned Rob Estes, I've done a lot of movies with him. He came to Italy. He elevates everything that he does, and he's so much fun to watch.
He's a lot of fun to watch here, let me tell you. Was the casting difficult on this one, to find this perfect blend of a cast?
No, I think that the first person that I called was Andy, because I have a great relationship with him. And he read the script, and he immediately fell in love with Giacomo, especially because I sent him the script where the storyline had been rewritten. Yeah. So, in this storyline, he falls in love. He gets to fall in love. So he loved it. And Alex Pettyfer is somebody I did a Zoom with. Eva De Dominici. And she had told me that she was trying to take my class for years, but then COVID happened. And then she didn't have a chance to, and she booked the cleaning lady, and I really loved working with her. And since I've actually done another short movie with her, a proof of concept, she's quite wonderful. And Rob Estes is somebody that I always think about because he's so talented. As a matter of fact, I just wrapped principal photography on another movie that I shot in Los Angeles on Saturday night. And Rob is in it. He plays a really fun character. And I have a lot of people from the Italians, David De Luis, that came to do it, Massi Daddario, and then an English actress, Alice Eve, who's wonderful, and Doug Jones and Josh Bowman. I like to work with, the same actors and also new actors, of course. Billy Zane is in this last one that I did, Lauren Tom. The cast is truly great. I love casting, and I love, visualizing who's the right actor for the part. And a lot of the times I may have a relationship or not, and if I do, I reach out directly to the actor, or I call the agent and I tell them how much I would like their client to play the part.
Wow. Well, you certainly lucked out with this one. And of course, the fact that you could tell them all they could come to Italy, I'm sure didn't hurt your chances of getting them to say yes.
Exactly. The same way that they had me at Puglia, I had them when I said Puglia, Italy.
Free trip to Italy always does it. Boy, oh boy. So as you look back on this film, Making Under the Stars, what did you learn as a filmmaker with this film in particular that you can take forward into future work?
Well, it's a great question. I have to say, you have asked the best questions today. I think that the sense of the world, that you need to immerse the audience in the world of the story. And here the world had to do with, the atmosphere, the exteriors, really opening it up and really feeling that you were in Italy in this masseria. That's certainly one big thing that I think will follow me in everything that I do. I have to say, I also liked the schedule, because in Italy you shoot 10 hours as opposed to 12 hours in the U.S. And, at first I was like, I really need the 12 hours. But the truth of the matter is you can make it happen in 10 hours. And then, a lot of the times it's 5-day weeks, and sometimes if you shoot on Saturday, it's 7 hours. So, I don't know, it didn't feel as taxing on my body as, the marathon of shooting, 12 hours does, this boot camp here. It felt a little more relaxed, just a little more relaxing. So I thought, it's nice to be this relaxed and then, work this way.
Now, when you do feel a little more relaxed, do you think that improves you as a director in setting scenes, directing your talent? Because, if a director is tense, talent's going to feel that in front of the camera. So I have to imagine that with you being more relaxed, it puts everybody else more at ease.
Well, I think a common thing that I've heard from the actors that I've worked with is they feel that I create a safe and calm environment for them to take risks and try things. But I noticed a difference when I really have the time to explore and when I don't really have the time. But regardless, whether I don't have it or I have it, I really try to create that environment for the actors so they feel that, they have time. Mm-hmm. Even though I know that I have to get this pretty quickly, maybe the light, or maybe just, we can't go on overtime, or whatever the logistics may be. But it's very important for me. I don't like any tension on set. For me, I always joke we have to have candles and classical music, metaphorically, because I really work best if everything feels very calm. There's no yelling on the set. Everything is very, for lack of a better word, zen.
I like that idea. I've been on many sets. I worked production for a long time, and calm would be a much preferable way to work. Everyone that works on your films, I think they appreciate that about you. And everybody that has yet to work with you, that may encourage them to say yes when you ask.
Yes, well, I think that actors know that I love working with actors, but I love the collaboration. It's such a collaboration. I never try and impose my point of view. I want to get it. And even though I go in with some preconceived ideas, because you can only improvise from a map that you already have, and then you can become improvisational. I'm always open to, it's a collaboration. Everybody's ideas come into play.
Was there a lot of improvisation on Under the Stars, or did everyone pretty much stick to the script?
I think it was both. Everybody stuck to the script. but they always felt that I left room for moments of improvisation. And those moments, a lot of them made it in. You know, like there was a moment with Toni Collette and Andy Garcia when she says, "Did you make this?" You know, when he's feeding her the tiramisu.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and then he says no, jokingly. You know, that was a moment of improvisation.
And you're lucky when you have some actors the caliber of Toni and Andy that you're going to get gems like that. And, I mean, that's a charming moment. And really, it's so comfortable. And it adds so much to the playfulness of Audrey and Giacomo. So
you have to leave the door open to that, always.
You also, I have to ask about it, but you've got a dog, a beautiful dog that you're also directing. You have cats running around. You have kids running around. You have chickens. You had a menagerie happening here.
Yes, the dog was fantastic. That dog was really something else. I had the idea of the dog and Venus. And the chickens, of course, the moment I saw these chickens, it was so funny because I was on the phone with a studio about, you know, another movie I'm going to direct. And all of a sudden I'm in the farm. It was lunch. So it was in the afternoon. And all of a sudden you hear the worst screams. And it was because one of the dogs of La Masseria,
mm-hmm.
not the dog we had in the movie, another dog, took in his mouth a baby chicken. And so I'm on the phone, and I said, "I'm sorry, I have to hang up." And I ran to the rescue of this poor little chicken that, you know, ended up living and came out of the mouth of the dog.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
The screams were like, oh, my God, I've never heard screams like this. But, yeah, it was the environment. You know, I tried to capture the environment, and the kids were so cute. They were very cute kids. That bakery scene where, you know, Alex Pettyfer and Eva De Dominici first meet
mm-hmm.
Ariana, Ian. I thought these kids were just fun, and yeah, I was very lucky. I mean, a lot of the cast was from there, and you mentioned Vincent Riotta, who, believe it or not, I've known for decades. I have known him a very, very long time, and so you know, you try to cast also out of Europe. There's a lot of people that flew to go to Italy, and then some flew from London. My wonderful casting director, Nancy Bishop, was so helpful in, you know, giving suggestions and tapes of English actors that could get themselves to Italy or come easily. So there was a mix of European actors, American actors, Australian actors, Tony's Australian, English, just great actors, Italian actors.
Well, you brought it all together absolutely beautifully, Michelle. It's such an enchanting film. You know, I have to watch it again just because you watch this film, you have a smile on your face, a smile in your heart, you get little chuckles here and there, but you're happy. It's one of those movies, when it ends, you are happy, you are at peace, and you just watch joy. And there are not a lot of movies you can say that about. Oh, Michelle, this has been so lovely getting to chat with you today about Under the Stars. I can't wait to see your next films coming up, and I hope we get to talk about them.
I hope so, too. The next one that I'm in post-production for is Starstruck, so I hope we get to talk about Starstruck.
Oh, is that the one, Billy Zane, or is he in another one?
No, he's in Starstruck.
Okay. I just talked to Billy yesterday. And
oh, really?
Yes, I did. Just spoke with him yesterday morning. So, and he mentioned upcoming films, but he didn't know, you know, he didn't give away titles or anything because, you know, you never know. But he did say he had some upcoming and you mentioned him. So I hope we get to talk about Starstruck. Definitely.
I hope so. I think you'll like it. It was very, very funny. You know, Under the Stars is romantic. Starstruck is downright hilarious, so it's really funny.
I'll take either one. Funny or romantic.
Great.
Oh, Michelle, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today about Under the Stars. This really has been a delight.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and have a great rest of day and weekend.
And that was director Michelle Danner talking about Under the Stars, which is available right now on digital and on demand. So check it out. It's a beautiful movie. It looks gorgeous. The story is fantastic. Who doesn't love romance? Even the most jaded person, such as myself, loves romantic movies. So I heartily recommend it for you. Now, shifting gears, but still going for some more lightness and laughter in life, we turn our attention to writer-director Michael J. Whitehorn and The Best You Can. I have long admired Michael's work, who is best known for his decades in television as a creator, executive producer, and writer of the sitcom The King of Queens, as well as a writer for Family Ties, True Colors, and Ned and Stacy. He has a gift not only for comedy, but also for the love, laughter, sorrow, and tears that come from everyday life. Although he dipped his toe into the directing waters back in 2010 with the feature A Little Help, along with an episodic here and there, Michael has more or less stayed in the writing and producing lane. That is, until now, as he picks up his pen and steps into the director's chair with the wonderful narrative feature, The Best You Can. The Best You Can reunites Kyra Sedgwick and Kevin Bacon on screen for the first time in 20 years. It is a sharp, touching, and laugh-out-loud exploration of change, losing our bearings, and finding connection in the most unexpected places. This is a character-driven comedy that reminds us that sometimes the people who understand us best are the ones who are nothing like us. The film, Michael gives us a film filled with heart and humor and, and that ease of connection between not only the characters, but the characters in the audience. And the blending of unlikely relationships that give way to some of life's best moments, especially in this film. Now, for someone with a strong television background, together with his cinematographer Andrew Wonder, Michael steps out of the traditional 3-camera format and embraces more traditional cinematic lensing with camera movement that's looser and playful, just like the growing dynamic between our two main principals, perfectly played by Kyra Sedgwick and Kevin Bacon. This is a warm and wonderful storytelling, especially at this holiday time of the year. Written and directed by Michael J. Whitehorn, The Best You Can stars Kyra Sedgwick, Kevin Bacon, along with Judd Hirsch, Brittany O'Grady, Mira Kumbani, and Olivia Lucardi. Now, in this exclusive interview, and I'm so excited because after all these decades that I've been around, that Michael's been around, we've never chatted before. So we got to do that now. And he highlights the film's blend of drama and comedy and the unique connection between characters from different backgrounds. He has nothing but praise for cinematographer Andrew Wonder for his contributions, particularly in creating a cinematic style and nuanced visual storytelling. Michael may not have been directing, but you don't do 206 episodes or whatever of the King of Queens, and be the executive producer and write it. You don't do all of that without understanding visual grammar and directing. But it helps when you have a talented cinematographer there who's going to walk you through it if you need help. Now, Michael also credits his editor, Tricia Holmes, for her skill in balancing the film's tonal shifts and enhancing key scenes. And if you listened to last week's show, talked about Tricia Holmes for her work in the utterly charming Lost and Found in Cleveland. So seeing both of these films that Tricia's editor on is a really nice comparison of her talent as an editor. Michael also shared a lot of insight on casting Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick. He was afraid that there would be a meet-cute moment with the two of them on film, but that is not what happens at all. And he just raves, emphasizing their professionalism and commitment to their roles, particularly Kyra. And you're gonna love hearing what he has to say about her. And, now that he has this directorial under his belt, since it has been 15 years since the last time he directed, he reflects on his growth as a director and stresses the importance of collaboration and casting, among other things. So, take a listen as Michael, I am so excited to be speaking with you. I have admired your work for so long, your television work, and to see you write and direct the best you can. It's only your second feature narrative film you've directed, which shocks me, given your pedigree. But boy, oh boy, this one, it is a winner from beginning to end. It's filled with heart, humor. There's a beautiful blend of drama and comedy that's inherent to day-to-day life. But what really stands out and reached out to me watching this is the ease of connection between the characters, given their unlikely backgrounds. 6 degrees of separation, an event can change everything. You would never expect a urologist and a security guy making this kind of connection and building it into a friendship. And I love that. Just love it, Michael.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much. I'm really, as we're on the eve of the film hitting the world, I'm obviously on pins and needles about how it'll go over. Gotten some sense from Tribeca and a few other festivals, but it's not quite the same as just it being out in the world. So I really appreciate all you're saying. Thank you so much, Debbie.
But from a cinematic standpoint, what really surprises me here is you're working with Andrew Wonder as your cinematographer, and coming out of television in a multicam format. I was kind of expecting to see a multicam kind of format with this. I didn't. I see you step away from that. You embrace cinematic styling. There is movement of the camera. There's freedom of movement with the camera. It's much looser. It's more playful, and it basically mirrors the relationship we're seeing develop between Stan and Cynthia. And I fell in love with that visual grammar. Fell in love with it. So, I'm curious about your conversations with Andrew and how the two of you developed the visual grammar for this film.
Yeah, that's a great question. Andrew was recommended to me by Victoria Hill, one of our producers who had worked with him on, he had been the DP for Paul Schrader on his previous film, and Victoria was involved with that. And I met with him, and I instantly knew that this was the guy. It's so important, for me. I'm not a director primarily. I learned to direct. I appreciate everything you're saying about the look of the film. And, the first feature I did, I don't know if you ever saw, it was called A Little Help with Jenna Fisher. I did see it. Was a great learning experience for me in terms of, I knew intellectually that there was a real difference between making a film that is meant to be taken seriously as a film and not just a sitcom writ large, the difference between that and doing a sitcom. And I never considered myself, a sitcom person exclusively or anything. It was just a medium that I loved and worked in for many years. But I was always a film lover and interested in film. When I saw You Can Count on Me in 2000, whenever that came out, I was blown away, and I said, I want to try to do something like this, just a small movie about real people in when crisis hits, that in a way that everybody can relate to. And I tried to do that then, and and a little help, and then, and I was learning my craft. And then on this film, I think I was, better prepared, but Andrew was such a vital, as it turns out, in retrospect, I would say a vital collaborator for me on this. He's so gifted and facile with camera movements, but also what happened was we sat down in pre-production, for a series of several weeks working every day, what was supposed to be, coming up with the shot list, as typically is done. But what I found was that Andrew had a very nuanced sense of story, and how the interplay between the visual and the written, and he made some wonderful script suggestions that all came out of, like, how are we going to bring this script into a visual world, and do you need this or need that, or could this be more like this? And he really helped me that way. But more than that, being a I'm not a career director, and I wouldn't consider myself primarily that or great at that, but I do have an idea of what I want things to look like and feel like, and I would just communicate that to him. Sometimes I had specific shots that I knew I wanted, but more often it was along the lines of, like, I just want this to feel, whatever it would be, very, very claustrophobic. How we shoot that, let's be really tight. I want the audience to sort of feel that they're kind of trapped, or whatever the emotion may be. And he would suggest different ways to accomplish that visually, what lens to use. On the day, we were, experimenting with different things, and let's try this. Okay, let's just try this a little bit wider and do that. And it was such a great collaboration. He's such a sweet and wonderful and talented guy. And everything that you're saying that you liked about that aspect of the film, would not have happened without him. I mean, I might have done something, credible and not embarrassing, but to the extent that you felt that it was more than that, that was really because of the collaboration that I was able to have with Andrew.
Well, and what's so wonderful, and you mentioned some key elements here, there are moments that we needed to feel claustrophobic, such as in Stan's apartment, which is extremely claustrophobic. And the camera, there's a lot of Dutching happening there because he's really out of kilter. His life is so out of kilter. And Andrew and the camera really take advantage of that. We go to Cleveland and that hotel, and it's like Cynthia and Stan. They dropped in from another planet. They're on another planet. There is nobody in the world but for them. And you see them really go through a metamorphosis, an emotional metamorphosis, actually, that is so freeing and so beautiful. And you've got that great shot where Stan comes out of the hotel room and is looking over the balcony, and it's upwards as far as the sky can see and down, and it's clean and it's beautiful and it's empty and it's just them, and you feel the possibilities that they have in this world, and it's beautiful. And of course then panic ensues after that, as it must, but and then you get into these little club scenes for Stanley's daughter of Sammy that are so intimate and so clubby, low budget clubby. And we've all been in those kinds of clubs that don't even have a riser. And then the color changes, your color palette changes. It becomes darker, it becomes warmer, it becomes more intimate versus the brighter and lighter tone for the bulk of the rest of the film, which is very open as Cynthia and Stan are opening up. So you really have this so well designed. I mean, Andrew, the two of you have collaborated beautifully on the visual tonal bandwidth and the visual grammar.
Well, thank you. And it's really wonderful to hear that obviously a cinephile such as yourself, feels that way about it. I'm personally so close to it, and, I like it. But I don't know how others. So really, thank you. Those really wonderful to hear you say all that. And, certainly what we were going for. And, in terms, some concerns have emerged at various places about whether there was tonal inconsistency between the comedy and the drama, and I never really thought about it in those terms. And the writing of it was very kind of visceral, and the script. Once I had the basics, the script went where it wanted to go, and as long as I felt it was sort of paralleling the ups and downs and variations in mood and tone of a real life being lived over a period of months. Then I felt it was justified to have things be very light and warm and funny and even silly, and and then other times, a lot of gravitas to it, as life, has taught us is the way the journey goes.
I think tonally it's balanced beautifully, Michael. Nothing ever feels out of place. Nothing feels like it just got stuck in there. Trisha did a great job on the editing
Yes.
to help you find that. I just saw another film by Trisha the other day, Lost and Found in Cleveland. And Trisha has a great sensibility of balance in the editing to find that.
She was superb, and someone I'd never worked with, but knew from when I first met her that I just felt that there was a simpatico there creatively. And working with her on the edit I love the editing process. If the film is in the can somewhere, finding it in that mass of shot footage is the task. But if it's in there, which I believed it was, then finding it and assembling it is just a great joy, because it's like another phase of the creative process, but without all the anxiety that goes with the actual shooting, where you don't know if it's going to be raining, you're supposed to be outside, the million things that could go wrong when you're shooting. In the editing room, it's all safe. You can just put it together and solve the puzzle. And she was just wonderful. And there were a few moments in the film, the way they're edited, that really were all her. There were things that were in the first assembly, and I learned just over the many years of doing this that first assemblies, you have to really brace yourself and not expect to feel the thing you want to feel from what you made, even if it's a half hour of television. And her first assembly, there were things in the film that I didn't touch, major things. I think that the scene in particular with Stan and Sammy, when she leaves the club and he follows her and says, "What the hell are you doing? I've got a riser. Why are you throwing this away?" That scene, I did very, very little to that scene after Trisha assembled it. She just was inside of it, felt it, knew exactly when to be on whom. And, and that's just one example. There are others, but, and then there are things that we just went over and redid 20 times until we got it just right. I was very precious about the jokes and the timing and just losing a frame or two just to make something, I'm from a sitcom world, so where there were laughs to be had, I wanted to make sure that we got them, But in terms of just the emotions and the moods and everything, she really understood what the goal was and executed it so well.
And of course, she's got some beautiful montages happening in there. At the hour 14 mark, you've got the wedding crashing sequence, the dance sequence, which is just absolutely wonderful. The hour 21 mark, we've got the montage of Daddy's building a riser for his daughter, which is just, it's so beautifully shot, but we also feel the angst that Stan has. And one of the reasons why he's taking out a lot of his angst and anger on that wood with that bandsaw. And it's so beautifully done. I'm so impressed with that. But, it all comes down, and of course, the end title, it's a music video. It is fabulous. Just lift that out and market it as a music video, Michael.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'd originally conceived that as like an Easter egg that would be buried in the end credits and be a little reward for anyone who hung around. And as soon as I showed that assembly to people, they said, "No, you have to move it up right after because no one will see it. They'll, then the streamers shrink the screen before you'll ever get there, that kind of thing." And I was told that I absolutely must move that up. And I've been it's funny because Sony bought the film and they're now in the final stages of preparing it to deliver to the VOD sites and to Netflix. And I've been back and forth with their tech guy to make sure that there'll be no screen shrinking before that, because there is like 5 seconds of black.
Yeah.
That, is just it's just asking for this, you have, when you watch something and the moment it goes to black, they shrink the screen. So hopefully that won't happen and people will get to see that. Because it is part of even though the credits are running, once I moved it up, I realized, it's part of the movie.
It definitely
it's not
is.
Just an Easter egg. It's like, sending them home with a good feeling kind of thing. The last scene with Stan and Cynthia, I think, ends on a very, melancholy but warm note. But this is like, all right, but now we're going to have some fun,
Yeah.
and the reward for having hung in there for an hour and a half and watching it.
It's a great reward. So I'm glad that you moved it, because you are right. People just, number one, the streamers, they shrink it, and there's nothing worse than trying to find the button on the remote to expand it back out so you can see it.
Yeah.
Now, I would be remiss not to commend you and bring up your casting of Kevin and Kira. Your whole cast is great. Brittany O'Grady is wonderful. Mira is fantastic. Judd Hirsch, there are no words for Judd. But Kevin and Kira, when I saw that they were in this together, I was initially fearful that it might be kind of a meet cutesy kind of thing. But it's not. They really come across as strangers meeting. There's an ease to them, but it's not this automatic cutesy coupling. And I love that you shied away from that and that they were able to not go there. Was that difficult?
Well, I'll tell you, we went to Kevin first, and he responded to the script, obviously. And when I met with him for the first time, he said, well, what about Kira for the other role? And I was resistant. And the reason I was resistant is exactly the thing you cited, that I didn't want this to be, this was my baby. This movie, I wanted it to be a good film and not a hour and 40-minute Kevin and Kira extended Instagram post, And one of the concerns I had specifically was Kira, with her signature blonde curls, did not look to me like a New York City urologist. And so when I met with her the first time, one of the key things that, and not so much that the sun rose and set on this point, but I knew it would tell me a lot about who she was, because I never met her, didn't work with her. And I said, what about your look? And she said, well, here's what she said. I want to give her credit. I said, how do we make this be two characters in this movie that are meeting and not, how do you distinguish who you are from Kira Sedgwick with Kevin Bacon? She said, by acting, and with a little bit of edge too. And I said, I love that answer. And then she told me she was very open to darkening her hair, having a wig, which is what we wound up doing. And I realized very quickly into the meeting that this was not a star who was looking to just sort of preen for the camera, and Kevin and Kira would be preening collectively. It wasn't that at all. I was dealing with two very professional, dedicated actors who took their craft very seriously, and I didn't need to do any coaxing at all for them to approach their roles as they would any other role when they weren't acting with their spouse. And in fact, I asked them not to rehearse together, to do all their preparations separately. And I worked with them each individually on going through the script, and I did most of my directing of them before we started shooting. And they absolutely respected that, and I think that created the effect that I'm so happy to hear that came through, that they weren't just kind of winking at the audience going, hey, it's us, but they were just in their roles and in the moment and playing it very, in character.
Yeah, there's no winking here. There is no winking, Michael. And we feel a growing connection between them as the story progresses, as their lives progress through the months. And one of the great things that you have, and this is how you should use texting in a film, I got to tell you, the texting sequences with their voiceovers, conversational voiceovers as to what they're texting each other, fantastic. And you start out, you've got the camera in on an individual line here, an individual line here. And then slowly, because of this burgeoning connection they're having and that we're having with them, then we see like half a page of text on the screen, things like that. It is so natural. It is just so refreshing to see it presented this way and to serve as so much exposition for our characters.
Oh, well, thank you. That was a real concern in how we would pull that off. And the transition from seeing the written text to the voiceover was twofold. It was one, creatively, it was to sort of subtly suggest that this was really, even though they're texting, they were in a very natural rhythm, and it was really becoming a true conversation. And secondly, just to spare the audience from so much reading, but those two goals kind of work together, and we created the balance that I think, and one thing I just want to quickly say back to your original point or at the beginning of the meeting was that, the class difference, what I found kind of interesting is how in this age of electronic communication, texting in particular, that it gives the opportunity for people to become familiar and even intimate in a way that they never in a million years ever could have without that technology. Stan and Cynthia, there's no universe in which Stan and Cynthia become close like this in the pre-texting era. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They're not going to have phone calls with each other. The security guard's not going to call them up and chat. So anyway, it was really a way to kind of use that as a plot device to create something that might not have been there a generation ago.
Now, I know Ainsley's texting me to end this, wrap this, but I do have to quickly ask you, Michael, this is only your second feature directorial. What did you learn about yourself as a director that you can take forward into the future?
I learned how important it is to work with, how I can write a good script, and how vital the casting is, and you have to cast the right people who bring a certain essence to a part, to a role. You can then try to work with it or mold it, but they need to fundamentally be there. And if something is miscast, you'll never be able to direct anyone out of being miscast in a part. I learned a lot visually as a director, but I'll always need an Andrew Wonder with me. I'm never going to be Martin Scorsese with a camera or anything like that. But I also learned that my instincts in this realm are usually pretty good, and to trust them, and yet at the same time be collaborative with others. So finding that balance, I think I'm getting better at that balance between what I see and what others are seeing, and integrating them.
Job so well done, Michael. Thank
you so much. What a wonderful meeting this is. I really appreciate it.
This is so entertaining, and it's so enjoyable. I'm going to watch it again, and I can't wait for you to direct another film and chat with you some more.
Okay, I look forward to that too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Debbie.
And that was writer-director Michael J. Whitehorn discussing The Best You Can, which is now available on multiple digital platforms. So check it out. Number one, it's really cool to see Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick on screen together, and it has been a couple of decades. But the film is so wonderful. Judd Hirsch is fantastic, as you would expect him to be. And he plays Kyra Sedgwick's husband in the film. And Michael really works into the script the age disparity between the husband and wife. But it's really, on every level, it's just so wonderful. But that is all the time we have today. So go check out both of these films, The Best You Can, Under the Stars. You can sit at home and watch them. Light a candle, get comfy, and just wrap yourselves in the warmth and wonder of these two films. But make sure to tune in next week when we will be talking Christmas movies. Unless somebody flakes tomorrow or Wednesday, in which case you'll hear me complain about it. But until then, I'm Debbie Elias. This is Behind the Lens.